So this week, I wasn't able to record a lot of things just because studying took up a big portion of my time, so I'm gonna try something different. Rather than talking to the camera, I'm just gonna show what I've done through doodles. Just things important to me that are going on right now in terms of my hobbies, and I'll add in like extra footage if I have any in between after I've recorded this, so it might be a bit choppy, but anyway, let's just get started. So, as I said, a lot of this week was just watching lectures and trying to memorize material. There's about like 10-ish lectures, each covering a disease state and its meds for this semester. It's a lot of infections, which is kind of hard since a good amount of the medications get used between each disease, so it's hard to keep track how much for what and what's preferred over what. So during lectures, I try and have fun with it, just try not to take it too seriously while also trying to learn the material.
Okay, what is the mechanism of action of cabotegravir?
Cabotegravir binds to allosteric, prevents proviral incorporation. Cabotegravir integrate prevents proviral DNA from incorporation. It's a B. It's gotta be B, bro. I'm for sure. It doesn't bind to the weird dock. It doesn't prevent the final process. Binds to an allosteric. No. That's a different drug. It's B. It's gotta be B, bro. Give me the B. It has to be B.
Alright, so
Yo, let's go.
So in terms of entertainment, lots of things be happening this week. So the first movie I watched was Onward from Pixar, and it was great. I didn't have any expectations going in besides the fact that it was Pixar, so it still had a standard, but it was very entertaining, and the comedy really hit with this theme of like magical creatures. I feel like Pixar doesn't do this theme a lot, or has ever, because I feel like DreamWorks kind of has that with like How to Train Your Dragon or like Shrek or like any of those like fantasy themed. I feel like Pixar isn't one to really do it, but this movie did it, so it was good. And the story was pretty generic, but I think the execution was spot on. I really liked how they incorporated like certain tropes, and I feel like Pixar has this like divide or like eras, where the first era of Pixar movies was like Up, Wall-E, Ratatouille. It's like all the top tier Pixar movies, and then the second generation or like the second era of movies was like Brave, Inside Out, like Coco, and now Onward in terms of like original non-sequel films. And I feel like Onward it's not better than Coco. I feel like Coco is the best in like this second generation of movies, but it's still better. But like Onward is still better than a bunch of other Pixar's later works. Hopefully with like Soul coming out next year and the Dragon Girl movie coming out, those can be good too. I feel like Soul had a good premise, and then the trailer kind of fell off a bit for me, but it's Pixar, so I have faith. Overall, probably going to give Onward like a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's 8. 8's pretty fair. And then I watched another movie during finals week. The second movie that I watched was Tenet. And bruh, I was so out of it. I was so confused. I mean, like, I know it's a Christopher Nolan film and it's his like newest one, but it's just straight up whack, dude. Like I guess he was due for making a new mind-destroying movie. Okay, so just to prove my point, or just to like show this trend of his films, I'm on his Wikipedia filmography, and it's just his list of films. I'm just gonna go by the writer status, because those are like the movies that he wrote. So let's see, I'm gonna start. Probably Memento was the one that I watched, his oldest work that I watched. Okay, so Memento, that was like crazy mind movie. Then he has a Batman movie, The Prestige, another crazy mind movie, The Dark Knight, Inception, mind crazy bending movie, The Dark Knight, and then
I don't know if that's not really like yes, I guess, but so, and then Interstellar, a crazy mind movie, and then Dunkirk, or like an action movie, and then Tenet, crazy mind movie. So this is the next crazy mind movie. It was actually is ridiculous.
But yeah, the movie made no sense, and there was a fundamental problem in the movie that I thought could have been explained better, especially since he executed crazier things in past movies, or I don't know if it's crazier, but he also did crazy things in his past movies. Like, I won't spoil because I would recommend watching it. Just that it kind of requires big brain to understand like the intricacies of what's going on. I felt all the Christopher Nolan's signature feelings, like the part where you go like, oh my god, what? No, he can't explain that. Like, you know, those feelings when they take it like a step further, like in his old movie like Interstellar, like spoiler for Interstellar, but when he's heading into the black hole and he pops out into the fourth dimension and you realize that he was the one who pushed the bookshelf at the beginning of the movie. Bro, like that feeling. Like, what? You can't do that, Christopher Nolan. This man explained the fourth dimension, you know? I feel like this movie, Tenet, had that feeling or had that scene. And also this movie had like the super mega intense scene where time is kind of fake, but it isn't. And it all depends on like the last second, similar to like Inception with that one scene at the, you know what I'm talking about if you watch Inception, like that one scene in Inception. And it's like, despite having these scenes in Tenet, I think it was still too confusing to truly appreciate those moments. Like the pacing was really fast and conversations felt awkwardly robotic, like they just like responded too quickly to each other. I feel like they were rushed. I feel like he was rushed making the first half of this movie, because the second half is where it's like oh man, but like the first half it felt rushed. I think he could have done a better job explaining the premise of the movie that it was going to dive into deeper. But overall, the concept, or like I don't want to say gimmick because it's like Christopher Nolan's gimmick, you know, it's actually insane. I just think it's not that well executed or not well explained for tiny brain, for me tiny brain. And I feel like a lot of people won't understand. I mean, I went on the Reddit, gotta go to the subreddit, and these people out here like 4D chess, you know, they got like all these posters and like graphs and charts just like showing like, guys, this is the perfect movie. But for me, a normal average moviegoer, the concept was great. I understood that, but the explanation of the concept I thought could have done a little better. Moving on to the next section, in terms of anime, I don't know if I already said this, but I finished watching Demon Slayer with my roommates recently, and now I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen and Akudama Drive. I am really liking Jujutsu right now, and I think it is a great show. I see a lot of potential. I thought the first few episodes were like I was on the fence, but after like episode 4, 5, 6 or whatever, I think I'm starting to really like the show. It's starting to explain a lot of things, and I like how the characters are growing right now. I like the power system too, and how things are getting explained thoroughly like throughout the show. And it's great having a protagonist that's just as confused as we are so that people can explain things to him. I like how the show focuses on side characters a lot too, especially the villain. Bro, if you don't focus on the villain, like at least a little bit, like there's no point. I think the villains are just as important, and I like how they're introducing these villains a lot. And I can't wait to see where the show goes. I feel like it has a lot of potential. Also, the opening and endings are both super banger. I have included them into my workout playlist because they get me going, bro. Oh my god, they're so good. And then Akudama is like, it's sort of falling off. I'm taking it at face value because there isn't much that interests me so far. It just looks cool, and the setting is actually really cool. But the characters so far are kind of meh. I'm not really attached to any of them. But anyway, the real show, the actual show, has finally started, and every Sunday I am shaking. shaking. I'm like having a seizure on the couch. It's back. Attack on Titan Season 4 is back. Or it started last Sunday, and the hype is real. I watched the episode and I am so confused. But I'm all for it. I'm about to talk about like one thing I liked about last week's episode, so if you haven't watched it, spoiler for like a few seconds, but I loved how I didn't see a single main character in that pilot. Just Manly Man Rainer and Zeke in an airplane. They were dropping Titan. Oh my god, so good. I love it. It's like, it feels like a new show, but it's not. And I'm so hyped. I'm excited. Incredible. Moving on to other things. In terms of games, I've been playing a lot of Dead Cells recently. Well, not recently, and not a lot actually, because of stupid finals, but because there's a new patch that came out, and it's like reworked the game, so it's like completely different. And there's also going to be DLC released soon, so gotta sharpen my skills again, gotta get good again, because I kind of suck. Haven't played that much, but maybe like 3 to 5 runs this week, I think. I wish I could record it and do like a video on it, like of a run, but I think my Mac would explode. I also have been on playing a lot of Tetris. I'm pretty average at the game when I go in the lobbies, but it's just really addicting. I've been playing Tetris ever since I was a kid, so it's sort of like my go-to whenever I have a few minutes to kill, but then those minutes turn to like an hour or two. It's just like, one more game, bro, one more game. And I also want to record Tetris 2. I feel like it'd be a fun video to make. And then, speaking of other games, well, those are the only ones I'm really playing. I haven't been playing God of War as much because of finals, and I feel like that game has to be like 2 or 3 or 4 hour chunks of game time, just because it's like story based. But the Game Awards happened this week. Sort of tradition at this point to watch it with my roommates, to talk about the games we can't play because we're broke, but like are super incredible. I mainly watch for the new reveals, just to see what the critics claim to be the best, but I kind of like take it with a grain of salt, because, you know, it's like, it's critics. And I was surprised to see Hades. I mean, I've heard of Hades a lot, and I've heard it's like really good, but it was like up there with like the Game of the Year nominee, with like Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, like Doom, Animal Crossing, like Hades. It's kind of crazy how like indie dev. I remember I played one of their older games, Bastion, and like it was meh, but like Hades is apparently really good. I might try and get it. It's like, you know, my type of game, roguelike action, so I'll think about it. I don't know if my Mac can run it, but maybe. And then also at the Game Awards, they introduced the next Smash character, which was incredible, beautifully done. That trailer was insane. Like when the song started playing after the thing got chopped in half. I mean, I don't have much attachment. I've never played Final Fantasy VII, but I've played Kingdom Hearts 2, if that's what it's worth. I did get to that point in Kingdom Hearts 2 to meet this man, and I beat him, but I wish I did play Final Fantasy. The character looks really fun to play in Smash. What's next? For food, I felt that I needed more green in my diet. Everything was kind of brown, so it was a bad realization when I realized that everything I've been eating was brown, and my bowel movements were far and few between. So I just kind of like made a mashup of ingredients and then added spinach and called it a day. Very simple. Egg and doenjang, or soybean paste, fermented soybean paste, mixed with rice, and then I added spinach. If I feel fancy, I'll add some shredded cheese, but this has kind of been my go-to diet for the past week because it's cheap, it's easy, and it's quick. It's emphasis on the quick, because I'm just like constantly watching lectures. It's like just gonna whip up this very filling meal. Tastes good too. And like, as long as you don't put too much doenjang in terms of like salt level, because it's like a lot of salt if you put a lot, and have like, what is it, like a 40 to 30 to 30 ratio of 40 rice, 30 egg, and 30 spinach. I feel like that's like not too bad. I mean, carbs are carbs. but having like 30 eggs and spinach, you got your fats, proteins, spinach, got your fiber. I feel like it's been going pretty good. I like it. And then I'll add some sriracha on top if I want to add some spice. For drawing, I drew a bit in my doodle notebook and also on my iPad recently. I gotta say that the notebook is way more satisfying, especially since it's something that will eventually be filled up. Like all the pages will be filled with drawings and I could look back at them. Whereas like my iPad is like just stored data. But yeah, I'll try to throw in like a quick clip of my progress so far. I think I got this notebook like 2-3 years ago, and I don't really draw on it daily, but I do try and keep up with it every now and then. And it's just kind of whatever I feel like drawing. This is the most recent one. The one thing I really don't like drawing is people, and it's because I don't know how, but maybe I'll learn someday. Just not now, because I have to learn medications and all that. For working out, it's just pretty stagnant in terms of progression. It's just slow and steady. I did achieve one thing though. I reached this week I reached a 30-second like crane or frog hold. So now I'll be moving on to alternating knees in and out of the position, and I'll probably put up a clip of that. But yeah, that was this week, and looking back, I did a lot, but it felt so fast. I don't know, maybe it's because finals is like in 2 days. I'm recording this on Saturday night, and next week will be great, and I'll finally be able to relax at home, like California home, because I'm going home on Tuesday. This new format that I'm doing right now is kind of interesting. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I kind of like making these quick sketches, and it helps with synthesis in terms of like creating drawing from memory. I didn't like reference or anything, I just kind of drew stuff. And I might do more vids like this in the future if I have little footage to go off of, but things I want to talk about. But yeah, that was this week. Was not expecting to make a video like this, but here we are. Don't feel like studying anymore, haha.